The warm glow of the New York sunset painted the city in hues of amber and gold. High above the bustling streets, in a sleek corner office, Sophia Evans adjusted her blazer in front of a full-length mirror. The reflection staring back at her was sharp, polished, and professional. A lawyer ready to take on the world. Yet, behind her confident exterior was a heart longing for something deeper. Sophia wasn't just a rising star in the legal field. She was a woman who had overcome a difficult past. Raised in foster care, she had fought tooth and nail to reach the position she now held. But as the city lights flickered outside, she couldn't help but wonder if her life would ever include more than just ambition and achievements. Meanwhile, Ethan Grant, CEO of the renowned Grant & Associates, reviewed files at his desk. Despite his commanding presence and success, he carried the weight of a broken marriage, a scar that had shaped his guarded yet compassionate demeanor. Little did they know, destiny had plans for them. A business trip to Paris, the city of light and love, would not only test their professional skills, but ignite a connection that neither had anticipated. Golden sunlight streamed through the windows of a quaint cafe in Le Marais, where Sophia Evans sat with her laptop, deeply engrossed in a complex contract. The sound of the barista brewing coffee and soft French conversations mingled with the hum of cars rolling down cobblestone streets, creating an atmosphere that was both bustling and serene. The business trip to Paris was a monumental opportunity for Sophia. For the first time, she was leading negotiations for a major collaboration between her firm and a renowned French conglomerate. Yet, in a foreign city and under immense pressure, a wave of loneliness had quietly crept in. Ethan Grant, effortlessly dashing in a tailored black suit, entered the cafe, his presence commanding yet warm. Spotting Sophia, he offered a gentle smile, his eyes carrying an unspoken understanding of the stress she was under. "Paris is much more beautiful when you take a moment to enjoy it," Ethan said, placing a steaming cup of coffee in front of her. Sophia's lips curved into a small smile, and for the first time in days, her tension began to melt away. Over the following days, as they worked together at their partner's headquarters in central Paris, they began to see beyond each other's professional facades. Ethan, polished and composed, carried the wounds of a broken marriage. Sophia, fiercely resilient, hid vulnerabilities she rarely let anyone see. In between meetings, they wandered through the city's enchanting corners, from the charming streets of Montmartre to the Pont des Arts Bridge, where they quietly watched the Seine flow under a glowing sunset. Amid Paris's radiant backdrop, Sophia and Ethan started to realize that their connection went far deeper than mere professional respect. On their final day in Paris, Sophia and Ethan left their hotel, eager to return to New York. But at the airport, the announcement of a massive storm changed everything. All flights were canceled. The crowd at the information desk was chaotic, and Sophia felt a wave of unease wash over her. Ethan quickly called their hotel, only to return with a wry smile and a room key in hand. They said there's only one room left. Back at the hotel, they were shown to a cozy double room on the top floor. The large window revealed a view of the Eiffel Tower shrouded in rain. As they settled in, the room suddenly went dark. Sophia looked around in surprise. "The power's out?" "It's probably temporary," Ethan said, his deep voice reassuring as he moved closer. A knock at the door broke the silence. A hotel staff member arrived with a tray holding an elaborate dinner, a bottle of red wine, and glowing candles. "We hope this makes your stay more comfortable," the staff member said, leaving the tray behind. The candlelight bathed the room in a soft, romantic glow. Sitting across from each other at the small table, Sophia and Ethan clinked their wine glasses. "I didn't think our last night in Paris would turn out like this," Sophia said with a small laugh. "Maybe it's Paris's way of making us stay just a little longer," Ethan replied, his tone warm. As they sipped wine and shared stories, the atmosphere grew more intimate. Ethan spoke of his failed marriage to Isabella. "She was everything to me," he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. "But I let my career take too much, and in the end, there wasn't enough left for her." Sophia shared her own burdens, recounting her lonely childhood in foster care. "I thought if I worked hard enough, I could control everything in my life, but the harder I try, the emptier I feel." Ethan reached for her hand, his touch gentle yet firm. Sometimes letting go doesn't mean losing control. It means finding what truly matters. Their gazes locked, the flickering candlelight dancing in their eyes. The unspoken tension between them swelled until it became impossible to ignore. Ethan leaned forward, his touch hesitant yet yearning, and when their lips met, the world seemed to fade away, leaving only the raw, electric connection between them. Sophia melted into the kiss, her heart racing as the walls she had built around herself crumbled. The kiss deepened, growing more passionate, as the candlelight flickered around them. Ethan lifted her effortlessly, laying her down on the bed as the rain continued to patter against the windows. The glow of the candles cast shadows across their entwined forms as they shed their barriers, both literal and emotional. In the warmth of that stormy night, they found solace in each other. Through every touch and every whisper, they shared a connection deeper than either had known before, one that neither the storm nor the night could erase. After the storm, Paris resumed its tranquil rhythm, and Sophia and Ethan boarded their flight back to New York. Their relationship had shifted subtly but profoundly. Though they hadn't voiced it, the bond between them had deepened, leaving both of them grappling with unspoken emotion. Back in the office, they immersed themselves in work, but their thoughts often drifted toward one another. One afternoon, Ethan's phone buzzed with an incoming call. When he saw the number, his chest tightened. It was a number he hadn't seen in years. "Ethan," the familiar yet emotional voice on the other end said. "It's Isabella. I need to see you." Ethan froze. Isabella, his ex-wife, the woman he had once loved deeply but who had left him 3 years ago, was now reaching out? "You're back in New York?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "Yes," she replied softly. "Can we meet? There's something I need to tell you." After a moment's hesitation, Ethan agreed. At a small cafe near the office, Isabella sat by the window, sunlight casting a warm glow on her beige scarf. She looked tired, but when Ethan arrived, she smiled faintly. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice soft but tinged with vulnerability. "What is this about, Isabella?" Ethan asked directly, though his tone held a note of concern. Isabella lowered her gaze, taking a deep breath. "Ethan, I know I hurt you when I left, but I don't have much time left." "What are you saying?" Ethan asked, his brow furrowing. "I have terminal pancreatic cancer," she said, her voice trembling. Her words landed like a blow. Ethan sat back, his mind reeling. "The doctors say I have 6 months, maybe less," Isabella continued, tears rolling down her cheeks. Ethan stared at her, his emotions a tangled mess of pain, confusion, and guilt. "What do you want from me, Isabella?" he asked, his voice soft but strained. "I don't want to face this alone," she admitted, her eyes pleading. "I want to spend whatever time I have left with you, like we used to." Ethan was silent, unable to process what he had just heard. At that moment, the cafe door opened and Sophia walked in to grab a coffee. Her gaze fell on Ethan and Isabella, and her steps faltered. Seeing Ethan's conflicted expression, Sophia instinctively knew something wasn't right. "Ethan," she said softly, walking toward their table. Ethan turned to face her, looking as though he had been caught off guard. "Sophia, this is Isabella," he said after a pause. "My ex-wife." Sophia's eyes flickered with surprise, but she managed a polite smile. "Hi," she said to Isabella, though her tone was careful. "Hello," Isabella replied, her expression unreadable. "I didn't mean to interrupt," Sophia said, her voice strained. "I just stopped by for coffee." Sophia turned and walked away, leaving Ethan and Isabella sitting in tense silence. Ethan looked back at Isabella, the turmoil inside him only growing stronger. Ethan spent the entire night unable to sleep. His conversation with Isabella replayed endlessly in his mind, leaving him restless. She had once been his everything, the person he'd built his dreams around, but also the one who had left him shattered. Now, just as Sophia was bringing light and hope back into his life, he found himself torn between the past and the future. The next morning at the office, Ethan couldn't focus. He knew he needed to talk to Sophia before things spiraled out of control. "Ethan, can we talk?" Sophia appeared at his office door, her expression gentle, but her eyes filled with questions. "Of course," Ethan said, gesturing toward the chair across from him. Sophia sat down, her hands clasped tightly. Yesterday? I saw you with Isabella at the cafe. I didn't mean to interrupt, but something's going on, isn't it? Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply. Sophia, I'm sorry for not explaining. Isabella is back in New York because she has terminal cancer. Sophia's eyes widened in shock. Oh my God, Ethan, I'm so sorry, but what does she want from you? She wants me to be with her during her final months. She doesn't want to go through it alone, Ethan said, his voice heavy. Sophia looked down, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. And, have you made a decision? Ethan hesitated. I don't know. A part of me feels like I owe it to her to help, but I also can't ignore what's happening between us, Sophia. You've given me hope again. Sophia's eyes softened, though her pain was evident. Ethan, I understand, but I can't be your second choice. If you need time to figure things out, I'll give it to you. But I need you to be honest, with yourself and with me. Ethan nodded, his heart heavy. You deserve the best, Sophia. I don't want to hurt you. Sophia stood, offering him a faint smile despite the tears brimming in her eyes. Then think carefully, Ethan. I'll wait, but not forever. She walked out, leaving Ethan in turmoil. After his conversation with Sophia, Ethan spent days wrestling with his emotions. He didn't want to hurt Sophia, but he also couldn't bring himself to abandon Isabella in her final days. One evening at Sophia's apartment, Ethan arrived with a heavy heart. Sophia opened the door, and her heart sank when she saw the conflicted look in his eyes. Ethan, what is it? Sophia asked gently, though she already sensed what was coming. Ethan nodded, stepping inside. Sophia, I've thought about this a lot. Isabella, she needs me. I can't leave her alone during this time. Sophia's face fell, but she managed to stay composed. And what about us, Ethan? What about me? Ethan looked at her, pain evident in his expression. Sophia, you mean so much to me, but right now I have to be there for Isabella. I can't turn my back on her. Sophia took a deep breath, holding back her tears. If that's your decision, I respect it. But Ethan, I can't wait forever. You need to figure out what you really want. Ethan nodded, unable to meet her eyes. I'm sorry, Sophia. Sophia just nodded, watching as he left, taking her heart with him. In the weeks that followed, Ethan devoted himself to caring for Isabella. He took her to the hospital, prepared meals, and spent hours trying to lift her spirits. But deep down, he felt a growing emptiness. One evening, Isabella sat on the couch, her frail figure illuminated by the dim light. Ethan placed a bowl of soup on the table and sat beside her. Eden, Isabella said softly, thank you for being here. You're the kindest person I know. Ethan forced a smile. It's what I should do, Isabella. You're not alone. But even as he said it, his heart whispered, is this really what you want? Over the weeks, Ethan slowly realized that his feelings for Isabella were no longer love. Responsibility was the only thing keeping him there. One rainy day, Ethan sat at his desk, staring at an old photo of them. He remembered their happy days, but those feelings were gone. Instead, Sophia's face filled his mind. On a rainy afternoon, Ethan decided to talk to Isabella. She sat by the window, watching raindrops streak down the glass. Isabella, Ethan began, his voice steady, we need to talk. She turned to him, her eyes filled with concern. What is it, Ethan? Ethan took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. Isabella, I've tried to be here for you, to do the right thing. But I've realized it's just responsibility. I don't love you the way I used to. Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes, but she didn't seem surprised. I know, Ethan. I've felt it for a while, but I was too afraid to admit it. I just wanted to hold on to you, even if it was just your sense of duty. Ethan lowered his head, guilt washing over him. I'm sorry, Isabella, truly. Isabella reached for his hand, her expression softening. Ethan, thank you for being here, but you deserve happiness. Go find it. That night, Ethan showed up at Sophia's apartment, drenched from the rain. Ethan, she asked, surprised. I need to talk to you, he said, stepping inside. He confessed everything, his realization about Isabella and the undeniable feelings he had for Sophia. "I choose you, Sophia, not because I have to, but because you're the one I want. You've brought love and hope back into my life, and I can't lose that." Sophia stood in silence before a smile broke through her tears. "Ethan, I've been waiting for you, and I love you too." They embraced, finally closing the distance between them. After confessing their feelings, Ethan and Sophia took their time rebuilding their relationship. The wounds from the past slowly healed through sincerity and the love they shared. Sophia understood that Ethan had gone through a difficult time caring for Isabella. She didn't rush him, allowing everything to unfold naturally. One afternoon, they walked together in Central Park, the autumn leaves painting a poetic scene. "Do you think we're moving too fast?" Ethan asked, gently holding Sophia's hand. Sophia smiled, her eyes full of warmth. "Ethan, love isn't measured by time. It's measured by how we feel, and I know exactly how I feel." A few days later, Ethan visited Isabella for the last time. She had grown weaker, but her serene demeanor was inspiring. "Ethan," she said as he entered, "I know this will be the last time you visit. I just want to thank you for being here when I needed you most." Ethan sat beside her, taking her hand. "Isabella, you'll always be an important part of my life. I hope you never feel regret." She smiled softly, her eyes holding a faint sparkle. "No, Ethan, you made me feel like I wasn't alone. And I hope you find happiness. Sophia is wonderful. Love her the way you once loved me." Ethan nodded, feeling a weight lift off his heart. "Thank you, Isabella. I promise I will." They embraced one last time, a hug filled with forgiveness and farewell. A few weeks later, Ethan brought Sophia to meet his family at their countryside home. It was an old, charming house surrounded by green fields. "Are you sure you're ready to introduce me to everyone?" Sophia asked, a hint of nervousness in her eyes. Ethan smiled, pulling her close. "You're a big part of my life, Sophia, and I want everyone to know that." As they stepped inside, Ethan's mother was waiting by the door, a gentle smile on her face. "Ethan, you finally brought her home," she said, opening her arms to welcome Sophia. Sophia beamed, feeling like she was truly accepted. That evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Ethan pulled a small box from his pocket. "Sophia," he said, his voice steady and warm, "I don't know who I'd be without you. You've changed my life in ways I never imagined, and I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy." He opened the box, revealing a sparkling ring that glowed in the firelight. "Will you marry me?" Sophia was stunned but didn't hesitate long. "Ethan, yes, I will." She threw her arms around him and they kissed as the fire crackled beside them, affirming that they had finally found their safe harbor. A few months later, in a small countryside wedding, Ethan and Sophia were officially married. The day was bright and clear, with wildflowers stretching as far as the eye could see. Isabella wasn't there, but in their hearts, they knew she had blessed their happiness. They stepped out of the church, hand in hand, ready for their new life. Sophia leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder, smiling contentedly. "I've found my family." Ethan squeezed her hand, replying, "And I've found my love,